hot on the heels of Ringling Brothers' recent decision to retire their use of elephants under the big top. After years of pressure and protests from animal activists, we are inside Operation Spirit of Freedom, a major animal rescue 10 years in the making. Mariana Vanzella reports.
You come into Peru with your wild animal acts, ADI is going to come and get them.
Animal Defenders International is in the middle of a government crackdown.
They're trying to keep these animals hidden.
They're working with authorities in Peru to enforce a new law banning wild animal acts in circuses.
We need to have all this stuff out.
We were given exclusive access.
We gotta go.
During the final days of this operation, as they face off against circus owners desperate to hold on to their biggest stars. For Tim Phillips and Jan Creamer, the husband and wife team behind ADI, their decade-long fight in Latin America to end animal suffering is finally producing results.
There's a routine and casual violence towards animals in circuses to keep them subjugated, keep them in their place.
ADI's undercover investigations, documenting horrific abuses in circuses, helped pass new laws in Peru and 8 other countries in Latin America.
These animals are chained, they're kept in tiny, deplorable conditions, teeth snapped off, claws cut off, and I think people have said enough is enough.
The rescued animals are all brought here to ADI's secret compound.
I love these old lions that are like warriors. They're sort of indestructible.
It's a temporary home for more than 100 animals. Lions, tigers, even a bear named Cholita. Dozens of monkeys, too.
It's just a lovely, friendly little monkey. He adores Jan, I know that particularly. I think he likes blondes.
And while many can relax easily in the shade, there's no rest for Tim and Jan, jumping into action with every lead. Today, traveling to northern Peru, where a circus is rumored to still have a tiger.
We've had them under surveillance now for 10 days almost, just watching continuously.
Just a block that way. It needs to be a complete surprise.
And the authorities have just given the green light to move in.
Everything's set. Yep, we're on. He looks very thin. It's really, really thin.
But where Jan sees a malnourished tiger, the owners tell us the tiger is much more than a circus attraction.
There's what seems to be like a family there who owns or works with the animals or owns the circus, and they're visibly distraught. They were crying.
They say they love the animal, but they're just making it really stressful and difficult for it. Keep it low, keep it low.
They reluctantly hand over the tiger, and tensions flare as they coax him onto the truck. The owners tell us that they've never mistreated their animals.
We understand it's difficult. Frustrating and trying day, but we're driving away with a tiger, and that's really the only thing that matters.
Back at the compound, a straw bed, just one of the new luxuries for Hubert to adjust to.
Here is Hoover, the tiger. He's loving this bed.
All of the animals receive first-class medical checkups and some much-needed playtime.
That's as much as we can do. We give them footballs and toys, try and keep them exercised, try and get the guys to play with them now and again.
When you hear this, it's amazing. Suddenly, it's all come alive. They're all like communicating with each other.
The plan for the lions is to return them to Africa. Generous donations funding the completion of new enclosures at a sanctuary in South Africa.
This will be the biggest airlift of its kind ever.
But before final preparations can begin, they get word another circus, one that vanished into the remote northern desert, has surfaced.
We'd seen it once before, and it just disappeared.
Tim and Jan believe it's the last defiant holdout in the entire country, but it's remote, so far from the reaches of government, they don't know what kind of resistance they might find.
You don't have a lot of police support. How many police officers do you have?
We're only getting 2 today.
There's some circus trucks right here.
Yeah, the big top is down.
They're bringing down the circus right now.
They've started breaking down.
As we arrive, Tim spots a puma named Mufasa. The Valderrama family won't let him go without a fight. They say they've had him for 20 years and see this seizure as an injustice.
So it's very tense, they're very angry, they're just trying to make a living, they're saying.
They've asked them to surrender the animals. They've refused.
The family also insists that they've never done wrong by their animals.
Pero dicen que los animales así son, los circos así son maltratados, que los tratan mal.
No, ustedes señores han visto que nosotros cuando trabajamos con los animales se les maltrata el animal adentro. No, señora.
The confrontation attracts a crowd.
They've barricaded the mountain lion inside the truck with all these tools from the circus around it.
Outnumbered, the authorities call in reinforcements.
A bit like the cavalry coming, I suddenly look up and there's a little truck coming and it's full of riot police.
Things are starting to get heated.
After hours of tense negotiation, angry defiance slowly fades, replaced by sadness as the family finally hands over the puma and says their final goodbyes.
They felt like this animal was part of their family almost. Do you feel any empathy for these families?
I think the only empathy I feel for them is that they're losing something they're fond of, but I feel more sorry for the animals. The animals are the ones who are the real victims.
After a few months at the ADI compound, Tim and Jan finally release Mufasa and Huber into their new homes, sanctuaries in Peru and Florida.
The dream would be to put these animals back in the wild, but you can't do that. They've had torn from them the ability to cope in the wild.
At first, they're timid. But with each step, a transformation. They seem to take on the swagger of animals that spent their whole lives in the wilds. But for the 33 lions, home is much further away. It's a complex move, each one individually crated.
It's never happened before, taking lions from circuses in South America all the way home to Africa. It's like a fairy tale.
And strapped in for the 15-hour, nearly 7,000-mile journey from Peru to South Africa. It's the biggest ever animal airlift of its kind. And their final destination, the Imoya Big Cat Sanctuary. His homecoming, more than 10 years in the making.
A long, hard road, but we are so happy. This is just so satisfying. It's everything.
It was incredibly moving to have done this epic journey in the company of these magnificent animals, and then to see them step out onto the African soil for the first time was just so moving.
For Nightline, I am Mariana Van Zell.